Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Schultz, and today I want to talk about constitutional powers. And the reason there's been such a long gap between videos is because I hate looking at myself in the camera. And today I did a little recording of me singing, and I don't know what you know about opera technique, but you have to inflate everything, so I'm having a little weight problems during the pandemic anyway, and between that and singing, I kind of look like Jabba the Hutt. So I don't like that, and I figured I will record something else. Hopefully I'll look a little bit cuter, and that'll make me feel better. Anyway, so constitutional powers during the pandemic. So there's two issues that I want to sort of talk about today, and I haven't done an outline, so this might be a bit scatterbrained. But the one is the various lockdowns in the states and Trump's challenge to them. And the other is Trump's assertion that he's going to order the Navy to shoot down, I think it's Iranian warships. Both of these are a little bit problematic. You can sort of give him some credit, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility that he can do this, but it's not really. And I say this, I really want to stipulate, I am not a lawyer. I don't know anything more than what I've read about the Constitution, but it's pretty clear. If you read the Federalist Papers, it's pretty clear he can't do most of this stuff. So let's talk about the lockdowns first, I suppose. So there's a lot of case law actually pertaining to this, not really about epidemics and pandemics, but certainly about vaccines and the right to privacy. So it kind of depends on the case, but the basic deal, when we're talking about human and civil liberties, human rights and civil liberties, that is that your rights end once another person is impacted. So you can do whatever you want and say whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anybody. But the moment you are actually doing harm to another human being, your rights are over. It's ended, at least as far as the American Constitution is concerned. I believe that's carried over into international human rights, but certainly for the American Constitution, that's it. And so there was a case, and I should probably figure out exactly which one it is, but there was a man who did not want to take the smallpox vaccine. And smallpox was rather contagious and very deadly. So him not taking the vaccine made him a vector for disease. So obviously this was not a thing that could happen. Smallpox no longer exists. It's been eradicated because of vaccines, because of treatment. But that could only happen by getting almost complete immunity via vaccine. So him not doing it created a huge risk to anybody he came into contact with. And that's basically how the courts ruled. The courts said that his right to privacy did not extend to avoiding taking this vaccine. So he had to take it. And he didn't get smallpox, so that's great. Later challenges to vaccines include a sort of weird reading of Roe v. Wade. So for those of you who aren't familiar, and I think that's one person on the face of the planet, Roe v. Wade makes abortion legal. So it basically says that a woman's right to privacy says that she can have an abortion if she wants. This is now law. Women are people. We get to make decisions about our bodies. Woo! But of course, anti-vaxxers had this idea that, if women get to make decisions about their bodies, surely we don't have to take vaccines. But the difference is, if you have an abortion, if you abort a fetus, that doesn't hurt anyone. I know pro-lifers are going to go, oh yeah, unborn baby, but no, it's not. It's a fetus. It's not an unborn baby. That's a different thing. Just no. But you're not hurting anybody. You're not infecting anybody with a disease. You're not causing anybody undue harm. It's your own decision about your own body. And pregnancy is rather dangerous. So it's really important that women be able to control their own health and their own destiny as far as that's concerned. So the argument for vaccines is that vaccines cause undue harm, and that's not true. Like, vaccines do not cause undue harm. There's regulations in place to make sure that they don't, and basically every medicine that gets approved, FDA approval, has to show that it's no worse than if there was no intervention. So vaccines are given to healthy people, which means they can basically cause absolutely no harm. So there's no reason not to take them. And by not taking them, you could hurt other people. So this didn't fly either. That case was also decided against the complainant. I don't know. Again, not a lawyer. So, like, you can't take action that is going to impact other members of society in a deleterious manner. You just can't do it. So all of these protests against the lockdowns are not going to go very far, legally speaking. I mean, they're going to be really annoying politically and practically, and they're going to result in a number of people's deaths, but legally, they can't do anything. So William Barr, I think he's the Attorney General, again, not a lawyer, it's really clear. He said that he wants to join onto any of the lawsuits that are put against the Democratic governors of those states. Note, there are Republican governors who have put their own states in lockdown, but he's not going to join on those suits. He just wants to go against the Democratic ones. So, like, that's not supposed to be how an AG behaves in the first place. They're not supposed to be that partisan. In fact, I'm pretty sure they're not supposed to be partisan at all. Tell me in the comments. So that's also not going to fly. But that's what he says he's going to do. He's going to jump in on any of these lawsuits. Now, these lawsuits, again, they're not going to work unless they can prove that the lockdown is not actually reasonable. So if they can prove that the curve has sufficiently flattened, and flattened for a long enough time, that there's no more reason for quarantine or lockdown, then they could potentially succeed. But this is not something that you can really prove as long as people continue to die and as long as there is PPE shortage, so that is personal protective equipment shortages. So maybe in the distant future, some of these might go through, but at the moment they can't succeed. Now, I think the argument is going to be along the lines, and this is where the Trump thing comes in, I think it's going to be along the lines of when President Eisenhower intervened with Little Rock 9. So what happened there is Eisenhower wanted to integrate the schools, and Arkansas disagreed hardcore. So 9 students had been selected that would join Little Rock High School. I hope I'm getting my history right. And there was a lot of resistance to this among Southern whites, and I think at the time mostly Southern Democrats. So there wasn't going to be a riot, but I think it was the mayor, not sure about that, I think it was the mayor, basically scared up a mob to go against these children. And as a result, he was able to call in the Arkansas National Guard and keep the kids out of school. And so Eisenhower then nationalized or federalized the Arkansas National Guard and gave them opposite orders and got the children into the school. So that's great, but of course there was much anger to be had over the fact that that was sort of state versus federal powers being bandied about there. And I don't think there was a court case that came out of it, but it does kind of create a precedent in that the president sent the National Guard to do a thing. So, like, Trump can try to send the National Guard to open up the states, but for one thing, they can refuse an illegal order, and that would be an illegal order. And two, logistically, it's just not going to work. I mean, what are they going to do? Haul people out and say you have to go to work now? I mean, gunpoint is very Stalin-esque. and that also would be a violation of civil rights and liberties. So he can't do anything. Like, he can yell and, much sound and fury, signifying nothing, but he can't actually do anything constitutionally. So then the second thing was the war powers thing. So basically, we're flirting with war with Iran, because why the fuck not? Excuse me. We're flirting with war with Iran. And so it's pretty typical for nations that we're not in good relationships with to sort of harass our own military, our own airspace, or whatever it is. So Russian MiGs all the time are sort of getting really close to American planes. And that's basically just to be like, oh, look, we're here, we can do this, you can't do anything. It's just to be annoying. It's a stupid thing. It's gunboat diplomacy. They're going to continue to do it. You just got to ignore it, for the most part. Like, if that's all they're doing, all right, it's not the worst. But this always happens, you see. Trump, though, has this thing against Iran. There's a history to it. I don't care. But so he doesn't like them, and so he has now said that he has ordered the Navy to shoot at Iranian warships if they start harassing American ships. Now, I mean, the Politico article that I saw this in basically already said, no, you can't do that. And this is actually set out also in the Constitution. Like, again, if you go to the Federalist Papers, there was a full argument and a full debate over this. And in the, I've forgotten the name of it, the Constitutional Convention, there we are, the Constitutional Convention, they had a full conversation about how much power the president should have in declaring war. And Pierce Butler, I don't really know his history, but Pierce Butler spoke up and said, oh, well, the president will always be a reasonable man, so it's fine. We can just give him all the power. It's okay. It's okay, guys. And fortunately, all the other founding fathers were like, no. No. And so they snuffed that out. I think there was an episode later where Pierce Butler was like, oh yeah, okay, I was wrong, and he actually put in more stipulations to keep the president in check. But it's not actually possible for the president to give an order like that. So the president has the authority to immediately take action when, I think it's American citizens, American properties, and American ships or something like that are under direct attack. So that's direct attack. Like, that's not just, oh, this guy is being annoying. That's, we might die, or we have already died. So, like, the president can take action at that point, but that's exclusively in self-defense. And otherwise, Congress has to declare war. Congress has to approve an act of war. You can't get around that. Even in cases where the president has acted in such a manner, like I think that happened for Thomas Jefferson, or it might have even happened for George Washington, but in any case, like super early on, there were attacks made against America, American citizens, American ships, the land, etc., etc., etc. And so presidents did take action. But in each and every case, they either got the approval of Congress before going to war, doing whatever they needed to do, making the orders that were necessary, or they went back and asked retroactively for approval. And because in most of those cases it was reasonable, approval was given. Now, there are exceptions to this. You can sort of say that Vietnam was presidential overreach. You can definitely say that the Iraq War was. So these are cases when things did not go the way they were supposed to. So there is precedent for this sort of action, but not to the extent that Trump is threatening. So what he is threatening is basically to commit attacks unprovoked. So you can say, oh, harassment is provocation. It's not. I mean, these boats are getting close. They're not firing on our ships. So that's a huge difference there, and it makes all the difference in the world. He is not legally empowered to give that order. And so fortunately, the Navy has stipulations that they will not follow that order. Again, like, the armed forces do not have to follow an illegal order. So if an illegal order is given to them, like shoot citizens, they won't do it. At least they're not supposed to. Sometimes they do, and then of course, hopefully they'll be drawn up on charges. We had a case about that, which is unfortunate. But it's not supposed to happen, and legally it would not, if that makes any sense. So Trump has said these things. Attorney General William Barr has said these things, but they can't really get away with them. These are not constitutionally supported. So Trump will go on about his Article 2 powers, but Article 2 is super short. Like, if you have a look, just like go now, Google the Constitution, look at Article 1, look at Article 2. Article 1 is for Congress, and that thing is huge. And Article 2 is like this. It's just like a few phrases. It gives the oath of office. That's it. It's like, peace out, you guys figure it out. So no, there's a lot of debate over what the president can do. Past presidents have engaged in overreach. Arguably, Congress in the past has abdicated a lot of power, and so on and so forth. But this is why we have 3 co-equal branches of government. This is to make sure that somebody like Trump cannot become an autocrat and dive us all into, eternal hell. Darkness deep as hell. But yeah, that's what that is about. So I just wanted to say that I feel a little bit better because I think I'm cuter now. And I'm going to stop talking. So please like and subscribe. And hopefully I'll upload more frequently. You like my makeup? Yeah, I'm beautiful. Alright, I'll see you guys later.